Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we'll be going through the West Coast versus Melbourne game, or NAM as they were called in this game, in which Melbourne or NAM ran away with its 82-12. I think West Coast might have even kicked an early-ish goal or something like that. It was just an onslaught. I mean, they only had two shots and kicked them both, but in the end, I think Melbourne kicked 11 goals, 16 to West Coast's 2 goals, and West Coast had a scoreless second half in which Melbourne kicked 7 goals, 13, which is, what's that, 42 plus 13, 55 points to nothing after half time. And even if they actually kicked the last goal of the second quarter, or the last points of the second quarter, so you can't look at that. But West Coast actually brought it back to 6-all, so it was 76-6 post that West Coast first goal, which just sort of shows the difference in class and sort of how we were talking about with the North versus Port Adelaide game, that top teams they may have to put up with a fight for sort of a quarter or so out of these bottom rated sides, but the bottom rated sides are always going to have that sort of bad quarter, and Melbourne just needed to take advantage of it and got that in the sort of second quarter. They were able to kick away, I guess. I mean, they were only up by 15, but that was sort of already enough. And then in the third, again, they had a decent quarter where they kicked 4 goals, 7. So they again extended that margin out by 31 points to like 45, and it was sort of game over, obviously, by then. But anyway, before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, Thomas was the star of the show with a 111, Roberts with a 99 as well, and then West a 98 round out the top 3. But yeah, Thomas just got off to an absolute flyer. I think it was 32 at her and Roberts, 32 each, yep. 32, 33, 31, 15. If she'd had a better last quarter, she could have been on for a 120 and actually been in the top sort of 3 or 4 for the round points of, as you can see here, she was the best non-midfielder, but she could have easily had with a 25, say if she got a 30-point last, that would have been a what did she get, 15 in the last? 15 in the last, so it would have been a 126. We would have been looking at her as a defender here, which sort of is just ridiculous. Roberts sort of the same as well. She could have easily had a 25-point last quarter, and that would have got her to a 108, which would have been the top sort of 10 or so scores for the week, which would have been huge. And yeah, so those two just absolutely dominated. I mean, Thomas took, I think, all of the, next to all of the kickouts, which was in the end 16. I wonder if I can actually bring it up here, if they actually have it on the AFL app, her sort of kick-ins. If we look here, kick-ins play on, does that work? It doesn't work. And does kick-ins actually work on this, or do they just show everyone as 0? Let's just see. Seems like they show everyone on 0, but I know she didn't have every kick out. I know that for a fact that she didn't. I've stuffed up my my stats here. 1 second, let me just change them around. There we go. So I know she didn't have all of the kickouts there, but I know she definitely had a lot of the kickouts. It's especially, you can probably see that if I change my stats around once more to no, it's already there, to meters gained. You'll see that she had 502 meters gained, which was 88 meters more than Purcell, and over 100 more than Mackin, and 150 on the dot more than Roberts. So really just showing that she had a lot of kickouts where she was just booting it downfield 45 meters and really gaining a lot of meterage out of that. And you can see 8 marks as well. 4 or 5 of them were intercepts. Just huge effort from her, and only the 1 free kick against. So that's really good. Roberts 26, 5 and 5, just a clean game, and really hoping we see her get more midfield time, as that can really help her both develop and be an option next year. Will be interesting to see if she might actually thinking about it. Let's actually just look at her CBA percentage. If we look at season 8, CBA percentage 24%, we actually probably want that to hold low, because if that's holding low, and we look here, centre half forward, centre half forward, centre half forward, mid, wing. So she's had that 1 wing game, 1 mid game and 1 wing game. So I think, looking at these, that we can say that she will probably hold her her numbers being enough for a forward next year, and then she'll drop into the midfield next year, which will be absolutely huge for the likes of Fancy next year. That we probably are going to have a forward that's actually a midfielder. Smith, Gooch, Swanson, 60. Swanson's really struggled this year. After the Bowers incident early on in the year, she is going 90, but she's really sort of struggled. She had that 100 was her best, and then just some 90 scores, but never really popped off compared to the top sort of players. And that's sort of been the difference. And she's finally had that game where she didn't do anything, and is now dropped to, I believe, a low mid-80s average, I believe. If we look here, 86 average now, which is not good enough as a midfielder. But I mean, they're in a terrible team anyway, so it's not surprising. McCarthy, Hooker, Lewis, Sintonere, Rowley, Davison, Smith, Schelling, Wakefer again, just strong. I think she might have copped an injury, so she was off for a little bit, but came back on, I believe, to finish out the game. If we look at the fantasy quarter by quarter, you will see Wakefer 11, Schilling nothing, Smith nothing in the last, Britton nothing in the last, and Bartlett nothing in the last. Don't know if any of those girls have any injury concerns, but we'll have to wait and see. What is the star for? Scored 110 fantasy points. And then the aeroplanes for 120. That's a weird one. Not going to lie. West with a 98 for Melbourne. That was a pretty decent output in this game. And all I was hoping for this game, as you'll probably see that I was really happy about the first half, was this Hall progression up. And I was just like, please don't go big. Please don't go big. As when Hall was staying low, I was gaining spots rapidly. I think I was around about 950, 960 rank going into the last game of the round. And I got it up to, I think, 717, I believe. Yeah, 717 for the round. So I got it up massively. And at one point, I think I was 725 before. I think those 4 points from Hall probably shifted me back about at the end when she took a shot for, was it McNamara that she took the shot for? No, it was for Bannon that she took the shot for, because Bannon was struggling with cramp. I think those 4 points probably pushed me back about 10 points, 10 ranks, sorry, just because she took the shot over the Bannon, who could have gone for a 6th, but she was just cramping up, which was professional fantasy play from Hall to get the shot there. McNamara, 82 off 16 touches, really good non-disposal output there. Hanks, 22 touches for 74, Mithen, 72, Mackin, 70, Purcell, 68. None of these, that's the thing about Melbourne, they're a really good side, but outside of Hoare and Paxi when she's back, they don't really have anyone that I'm really looking at and thinking that's a good go and get. Like, if we look at West here, if we swap this around, get rid of Swanson here, we could look at they are Nam at the moment. So if we look at West here, she's averaging 70 for the year, so nothing there. Bannon's 48 because she's a forward, even though she's classified as a midfielder. So that's going to change next year, and hopefully, I would like to look up how tall she is, because that probably is going to matter in why she's playing up forward. She's a 177 midfielder, but she's playing up forward. So I wonder if she's actually going to be a key forward, or whether that's just for the year and then in a year or so she moves back. Because if she moves back into the midfield, then that'll be interesting. But we'll wait and see on that one. So Hoare, McNamara, Hanks, these girls are all midfielders. Mackin, a 70 as a forward is decent, but we can see she scored a 29 a couple of weeks ago and comes up against North Melbourne, which will be a tough matchup anyway. Campbell is a forward, 66, but had some shockers beforehand, so don't want to touch that. Zanka, Mackin as well, another forward. Don't want to touch that as well. So you really sort of see that Melbourne, like many other teams, even though they're a top side, don't really have anything to display outside of Hoare and Paxi, to be honest with you. And then for West Coast, you sort of had Thomas and Roberts, and Smith is there or thereabouts, but I don't really like her compared to Thomas and Roberts, because Thomas is, I believe, on kickouts, massively on kickouts. Whereas if we look at the kick-ins, at least, just to showcase my point, hopefully you'll see Smith has taken 5, and that is going to massively expand after this next week when they put in the Melbourne game stats, as I believe you're going to see Thomas at 38, 39 kickouts, and around about that 30 or 28 played on. So you'll see roughly about that 75%, I think, for Thomas. but you'll see the gap, it grow even more. But anyway, that is pretty much the video there, but of the West Coast and Melbourne game, and I guess I'll see you guys in the team review coming out Wednesday. Anyway, bye guys.